All right, let's call the Board of Commissioners to order. And if the clerk could please call the roll.
Commissioner Murphy,
Here.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Here.
Commissioner Bunting,
Present.
Commissioner Bailey,
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes, here.
All righty. If we could have Commissioner Lemmerman lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you fill our minds with wisdom and understanding as we consider this agenda before us tonight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
born and unborn. All righty. Anybody have any additions or deletions for the agenda?
Move the agenda.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve. Board by Bailey.
Who was the original motion?
Smith.
Smith, motion, seconded by Bailey. Any discussion? Will clerk will please call the roll?
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes,
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. All righty, motion passed. Matt, anyone online for public comment?
I think I just see Marcus online is the only
Oh,
person.
there's Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I just have two quick things to share. First of all, we've noticed in the past few weeks 100% increase in COVID cases in our jurisdiction. So you probably heard that from other sources. It's starting to go back up again. And so tomorrow we're going to send an advisory to local governments and agencies, just saying, you know, if you have high value assets that you're trying to protect, like you've got people in a jail, or you're trying to have jury trials, or you're trying to keep the departments in your courthouse operating for the next few weeks, please really follow your COVID safety procedures. You know, you probably are going to have people who are, you know, you're encountering who are positive again in the next few weeks, especially because we have that new variant out there that's more contagious. So we don't have far to go to get to the goal line. So just hang tough for the next few weeks. We feel like it's important to just remind our local government partners about this. The next thing I'll share is, you know, positive thing, something we're very excited about, and that's that eligibility is expanding for the COVID vaccine. And, you know, you've heard about that from the state, and you've heard the federal government talk about it. But locally, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So, you know, 10 days ago, it opened up to people who were over 50 with medical conditions and the caregivers of children with medical conditions. Then next week, March 22nd, it's going to open up to everyone who's 16 and older with medical conditions, but is really importantly to everybody over 50. So we're going to go great guns on that population for a couple of weeks. And then on April 4th, as you've heard, it's going to open up to all adults. So you're going to see the same thing happening locally that you're hearing about elsewhere. We are starting to, you know, we think we've pretty much worked our way through our list of people who contacted us who want to be vaccinated. We've contacted everybody on our list at least once, and we've got several clinics that are open right now, and they aren't filling up. So this tells us that it really is time to expand eligibility. So the 22nd, we really are ready to go to everyone 50 and over. Now, I know we still have maybe 35, 40% of people over 65 who want to get vaccinated who haven't been yet. They haven't been able to get a spot in our clinic, or they still don't know what to do. So we're going to continue to work with that population. But in order to fill up all the slots in our clinics, in other words, to use up all of our vaccine, it really is time for us to open it up to other folks. So the 22nd, 50 and over, and then April 4th, everybody. So we're just really excited about that. And we'll be putting out more about that. That's what I have to share, Commissioner Murphy.
All righty. Any questions for Marcus?
I have three, if there are none from the commissioners. First, Marcus, you indicated we've had a 100% increase. Over what period of time? Where was the jump in time?
It started going up on February 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Do
gone
we
up.
know, do we have a thought about what to attribute that to? I mean, it was past the end of the year holidays, that kind of
Yep.
thing.
It's attributable to the human condition, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we've opened up restaurants, we've opened up sports. People are traveling exactly the same as they were back in January of 2020. And as you know, when you go out and about, you're seeing non-compliance.
Okay.
So
Second question then, speaking of travel, I know what answer I gave and I know what my position is, but I'm looking for your response. I have received some pressure from some quarters to change, no longer require that employees quarantine or stay out of the workplace after they travel. Now, the position I've taken is the original COVID isn't over, and now we have variants. You know, what's different, except that when you're on an airplane, there's now a federal mandate to wear masks. But so my position is no, nothing has really changed. Are there guidelines out there about easing up on quarantine requirements other than the shift from 14 to 10 or 7 days?
No, there's no such guidelines. The CDC guidelines, which remain linked to through our website, are unchanged.
Yeah.
And that is a particular focused on stopping the spread of the more contagious variant. Those are guidelines. They are not emergency orders from the health department. So if you misbehave, we will not lock your courthouse. However, I should tell you that pretty much from where you are and south, everybody's following the guidelines. You know, we know as we go north, we have some local governments that have taken a different direction. But if you continue to follow those guidelines, you're in very good company from the health departments nearest to you.
Thank you, Marcus. I now can cite Marcus Cheatham rather than Tracy Cordes, and that's very helpful. My third question is, you've indicated that the clinics are not filling up. May I send something out saying as much and you know, just track the availability in terms of age groups and so forth? Do you want us to put the word out that clinics are not filling up?
No, right now we're still filling them by inviting people.
Okay.
And as soon as that stops working, which will happen in maybe 2 weeks, then the links will be posted on our website, and you can either copy those links and put them on your own website or email them to your employees or whatever. But right now it's still by invitation, so it won't help.
Very
right now.
good.
But I'm kind of tipping my hat that that's going to change here pretty soon.
Okay.
Yep.
Those are my 3.5 questions. Thank you very much.
Marcus, it's Sheriff Morris. I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
I know somebody that's scheduled for an appointment this week to get the vaccine. And the question that come to me was, can they get Johnson and Johnson through the health department now, or are they still strictly Moderna?
Right now, it's Moderna, but what we're going to do, we think we'll have all three here in the next few weeks. And so each clinic it'll be posted what the vaccine is. So if somebody wants J&J, they can look for a J&J clinic. If they want Moderna, they can look for a Moderna clinic. So that's what you'll see, is it'll be advertised on there. And I actually think it was in the guidance that we sent out for this clinic. We're offering Moderna for the ones that are coming up next week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Marcus, I was wondering if a person's fully vaccinated after a certain period of time, would it be possible to ease off on the 10-day quarantine requirement?
Currently, there is no quarantine requirement for people who they're 2 weeks past their vaccination date. So
Right.
they're no longer required to quarantine, with the exception of travel. And that's because they're trying to stop the spread of the more contagious variant. So with the exception of travel, yeah, vaccinated people not quarantining.
Okay, great. Anything else? All righty, thank you, Marcus. You guys are doing a great job. Tell everybody that and keep up the good work.
I feel the same way about all of you. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you again.
All righty, let's move on to the consent calendar, minutes and the other items on there. Anybody have anything they want to bring out on that? And then I guess we're looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Bunning. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Lemmerman. Any discussion? Will clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes. Passed. Let's see, next item, Tracy, you're up.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You sound better tonight. The
Well,
audio's better.
yes, well, we have this wizard IT guy who noticed the problems in our weekly meeting this morning, and he said abracadabra, and so now all is fixed. So, you hire good people and great things happen, but okay, let's see, quite a bit to report this week, so bear with me here. And I want to begin by thanking Jan and John. I know that you came in last Friday, spent time with Chris reviewing financial processes and looking at the numbers. And I'm just so glad to hear this, because I've said it and I'll say it again. We want all of you to know what we know. We want you to have your questions answered, and we want to hear your ideas. And some of those ideas we are implementing. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy, too.
You bet. But we're here to support you in the work that you do. So when you come in, it just I don't know. I'm just pretty thrilled by it. So terrific. So. And speaking of good ideas, I have attached under this agenda item, the administrator's report, some reports of department activity. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I will routinely attach information about our animal shelter and animal control operations, Commission on Aging, and IT. Those first two, animal control and COA, they prepare those reports for other purposes. So with a little bit of modifying, those are readily available. Matt has formatted an IT report. He'll be adding to that over time. So that's just good information. And I have some other reports in mind and in development for you. If you have questions when you review those reports, certainly if you have them and identify those questions prior to these meetings, contact the department heads or contact me. We welcome those questions. If they come up during this meeting, I'll certainly do the best I can to answer those questions. I like to think I have a pretty good grasp on what our departments are doing, but if I cannot answer any of your questions, of course, I'll get back with you with the answers. So I hope you're finding that information useful, but also interesting, because I think it is interesting. But I reported to you at the last meeting, and you've now read in the paper that we are resuming jury trials in Gratiot County. The resumption of trials is tied to a certain formula relating to numbers of COVID cases in the county. So I don't know if this will change with the information that Marcus has provided today, but we're forging ahead. The court administrator and Judge Schlegel have requested that additional cough sneeze barriers be placed at additional spots in the circuit courtroom. And so Tony is working on that. Kaylin Lombard is working to find mobile units so that we can move them from place to place when and as they are needed. These things have become available now. We're far enough into this pandemic that some vendors have picked up on that and are creating that equipment for us. Right now, the first circuit court trial is scheduled to be in, I think it's the third week of April. Again, we'll see if that changes, but in any event, we will be ready. And speaking of Tony Miller, his very good work on restoring the chime in our clock tower has not gone unnoticed, both by folks in the community. I think you've seen the article in the Gratiot Herald. Thank you, Emma. But also Representative Graham Filler noticed this. Tony had a message from Representative Filler's staff person, and that staff person wrote in part, the representative asked me to reach out to you and see if you would be willing to meet with him sometime in late March or early April for a tribute presentation to both yourself and Jake Metcalf for your work restoring sound to the Gratiot County Courthouse. The courthouse is an iconic building within Gratiot County, and Representative Filler would love to meet with you at the courthouse for some photos together and to present you and Jake your tributes. So Tony Miller is making us all look good. And I would say he's making us look good again. Could not be more proud and grateful. Next, work is.
Can you let us know when that's going to be, Tracy?
Yes, they were suggesting a date of April, something or other. I believe that I forwarded that email to all of you, Chuck.
Okay, I did see it.
Yeah, that's because, I received that this morning and then passed it on, and I know that, but I will pull that out and send it to you again. So making a note, send dates to. And pardon me for interrupting to do this, but even when I write it down, sometimes I forget. Okay. Work is continuing on the capital improvement projects that you approved as a part of the budget. That includes the HVAC work. I believe it was the last meeting where you approved a contractor for that work. We're also beginning to get some interest in the courthouse roof project. The new kennels are still in the process of being installed at the animal shelter. Apparently that's not a very easy install. And then they ran out of a part that they need, some clamps. So that's still going on. We're purchasing and swapping vehicles just as we had planned. And also some electrical work will soon be done in the clerk's office. You may be seeing Angie smile and nod her head. She's currently working in a tangle of extension cords and wires, and apparently our clerk prefers that her office not catch on fire. I don't know, can't explain it. Next, it's been quite some time since I've gotten our department heads together, just a lot going on and time slips by. I will be scheduling a meeting for the last week in March. I have Wednesday in mind, but I need to check with a couple of folks first. At these meetings, we discuss new policies. For example, we'll want to talk about the cell phone policy that you folks approved a month or two ago. We generally review any budget or financial issues. For example, we have this, little stimulus bill that's gotten passed and signed. More on that in a moment. We also provide any information that's new in HR or IT or anywhere else. We also do an around the room. I pick on department heads and ask them to offer a snippet or two about what's going on in their departments, trying to get everybody woven together to increase knowledge amongst the department heads about what is going on elsewhere. I go through all of this just because I want you to know, but also you're always welcome to attend those meetings. You are not violating the Opens Meeting Act if 3 or more of you come, simply because the Open Meetings Act requires notice and that meetings be done publicly when you are discussing, deliberating, and deciding issues. So if you are just sitting in the meeting, you would not be violating the Opens Meetings Act. Once again, I provide you an update on the work of MREC, the Michigan Renewable Energy Collaborative. We're continuing to work on those issues. You've seen articles in the newspaper, and electronic media have reached out for interviews. So we're bringing some attention to this issue. We are referring requests for interviews to our legal counsel, Rick Sundquist at Clark Hill, to ensure that we are giving correct information and also a consistent message. Of course, we want to get a solution to these many, many cases. I outlined this litigation for you or briefed you on it a meeting or two ago. And of course, it is always our hope that we can maintain our relationship with our utilities at the end of the line. I would like to end with a very brief discussion about portions of the new COVID stimulus bill, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Now, let me qualify my remarks by making it very, very clear that we're all still studying it. And when I say all, I mean Chris and me. I mean Sheila in HR. I mean the folks at Michigan Association of Counties, at NACO, and elsewhere. So we're all studying it, still interpreting what it might mean for various groups. Also, any numbers that I'm going to provide you, and I'll offer you a few, please note that they are estimates and they could change. So with all of that qualification, let me run over a few things with you. There will be approximately 1.9 million distributed to Michigan counties. I'm not quite sure. I think the information is available. I'm just not quite sure how, what the formula is for determining how much each county receives. But an estimate prepared by the U.S. Treasury Department has, here it comes, $7,895,648 coming to Gratiot County. So that's $7.9 million coming to Gratiot County. Again, just an estimate, subject to change, but this is an estimate prepared by the Treasury Department. So that's as good a number as I can give you right now. Now, that's the good news. Then we begin to chip away at the good news, but it's still good news. First, it's not going to all come at once. The U.S. Treasury is required under the bill to pay 50% of that amount to counties not later than 60 days after enactment. The bill was signed on March 11th. I'm sure there was an emergency provision having it take immediate effect, although I can't say for sure, but the date we're looking at is 60 days after March 11th. The second payment under the bill is to come no earlier than 12 months after the first payment. So we'll wait a couple of months, we'll get the first payment, then we wait a year, we get the second payment, 50% up front. We have to spend our funds by December 31st, 2024. So there's a little bit of time. Now, as we saw under the CARES Act and later, there are certain prescribed or permitted uses and some uses that are not permitted. But the ways in which we can spend the money, the funds now, first, to respond to or mitigate the public health emergency with respect to the COVID-19 emergency or its negative economic impacts. That's pretty broad. That could be assistance to households, small businesses, nonprofits, to aid industries such as tourism, travel, hospitality, so that kind of thing. Now, there's a qualifier in the summary that NACO prepared that says, however, state and local activities are not limited only to these activities. So I don't know if later we will find that this is a loophole big enough to drive a truck through, or perhaps there will be some clarification. The next permitted use, we may provide government services to the extent of, the funds can go to the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue, largely tax revenue, due to the public health emergency. So we would need to tie it to reductions in tax revenue. It can also be used to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. Okay, broadband, we've talked about that. It can be used by state and local governments can transfer the funds to a private nonprofit organization, a public benefit corporation involved in certain activities. Now, that's currently not permitted. We can't support, or various organizations. There are some limitations on that. Finally, the funds can be used to respond to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency. We can provide them premium pay, and we would have to determine their eligibility under certain criteria. So these things are fairly broad, provide some limitation, but broad at the same time. Let me review with you uses that are clearly not permitted. We cannot use the funds, which seems to conflict a little bit with what I said above, but we'll get clarification. These funds cannot be used to either directly or indirectly offset a reduction in the net tax revenue. This is under certain circumstances. I see some difference there. It's permitted, the reduction due to the public health emergency. So as I read this, if reductions in revenue can be tied to the public health emergency, then it would be permitted. And so we'll tease that out more as we go along. We may not, governments may not use the funds. They may not be deposited into any pension fund. We're fine. We've got our pension fund taken care of. If we fail to comply with these requirements, if we use funds improperly, we may be required to repay the federal treasury. We're not going to find ourselves in that position, but they have put some teeth in this. Naturally, we're going to be required to submit periodic reports accounting for our use of the funds. Chris is very used to that. He did a great job in previous bills and meeting the request reporting requirements. So, but the devil is in the details on these things. Chris and I will report back to you as we receive more and additional reliable information. So that's what we know for now. $7.9 million to be used in particular ways. As we get more solid information, among the things that we'll be coming back to you about, and you can begin to think about this, within that framework, what things might come to your mind for use of those funds. So we can talk about that a little bit more. But that's what I have for now, folks.
All righty, thank you, Tracy. Anybody have any questions? Also, Matt, do we still have George? I don't see his picture.
Yes, we do.
Okay, we do. All righty.
I have a question. Tracy, on Wednesday, on the last Wednesday of the month, will you have a time that you'll let us know when we can come?
Sure. Commissioner, I generally set those meetings at about 1:30. And that's what I'll be shooting for. So it's generally Wednesday afternoons, but yes, I will absolutely send out that date once you're talking about the department heads meetings, yes?
Yes,
I'll get that. Yeah, I'll get that time sent out to you.
I think that's the 31st, right?
Oh, now you're asking the hard questions.
Wednesday, the 31st, yeah.
I think it is because
Yeah.
it's 31 days in March.
And again, let me make clear that there are a couple of people that I generally try to work around and make sure that that will work for them. I'm still shopping that date, but I want you to know what I'm looking at and,
Okay, would that be in the
Kind of the
commissioner's
timeframe.
room?
yes, although Commissioner, it may be Zoom this time around. I think that's how we did our last one.
Okay, thank you.
Keeping everybody safe, yeah.
All righty, no other questions? We'll move on to Commissioners' committee reports. Mr. Bunning, you want to start out?
Yes. I'm trying to think, did I go any meetings? Oh, I went to Wheeler Township just for a few minutes. I had 2 meetings in the same night, so I split the time up between Wheeler Township and Bethany Township. And Bethany Township was doing their budget for the year, for their fiscal year. And I believe that Wheeler Township had just finished up theirs a month ago. So that was pretty much it.
All righty,
Meetings.
thank you. Commissioner Lemmerman, going around the table here.
During tax season, Arcata Township took in about $2 million in taxes. There was about 98,000 that they turned over uncollected. They thought that was a little bit on the high side at around 1%. And Arcata Township is having some problems with prefab sheds. Apparently, when people are getting these sheds, they're being told that they don't need to get any paperwork on them, but they still have to get zoning. But these sheds are being put in without any zoning. And so the township is having to go in after the fact and try to get that problem fixed. We also have one situation where there's people living in them and there's no electricity, no running water, no heat.
Wow. Is this homeless people or what?
I think so.
Wow.
So I got Parks and Recreation tomorrow night, so that's all I got.
All righty,
I have
go
a
ahead.
couple questions on that. How big are these prefabs?
Oh, like something big enough to put like big lawn or equipment into, like a lawn tractor and maybe other equipment.
Okay.
But they wouldn't be like 960 square feet that's required for living in.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, any other questions? Going down the screen then, Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I was at Newark last night, and they've got everything pretty well running with the windmill stuff now, and the Consumers building that's on 57, that's pretty much up and running. They're still looking to hire a few people. They have about 10 people in there. They're having some issues with internet there, but they think they'll get that straightened out. Talked to all 3 of the meetings that I've been to, North Shade and New Haven, talked to them all about the blight situation and how we had a couple cases that had come up, and I would kind of keep track of that for them to see how that worked if they wanted to get involved in this thing next year. And everybody else just seems to be working on their budget and ordering gravel and trying to get their roads done and getting geared up to do that.
All righty, thank you. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes, I had Zoom meetings, Commission on Aging and Mental Health. It's the norm anymore. But I have been in personal contact because of the COVID issues and being into these township halls, it's a little difficult. So I have been in contact with all of my supervisors, be Jamie and John and Roger and Howard. So I've been in personal contact with them and told them if they had any issues, obviously give me a call. So that's it.
Alrighty, thank you, George. And I have spoke with Senator Altman and Representative Altman that they're interested in working with us on the windmill depreciation issue. I also spoke at the same fundraiser with former Representative Jim Lauer, who is now the Speaker of the House Chief of Staff. And he said they'd be interested in helping out also. And I believe Tracy's got a meeting set up with some folks coming up on April 2nd. So hopefully we make some progress on that. All righty. Let's see. Next, we're moving on to
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
One other
Sam.
thing too. One other thing I forgot to mention. Greater Gratiot, we had a budget meeting. We had their annual report with what's the girl, Allie, and everything come out well there on the findings of the yearly report from them, and then I think there's going to be some information tonight, probably with the brownfield development stuff that they've approved and stuff. Yep. So I've met at a couple meetings with them too.
All righty, thank you. So we're moving on to, now is Peter Little going to make this presentation from the Parks and Recreation on the floating fishing platform?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm right here, guys. So I can answer any questions you have. I can get a little background information on the project if you like.
You put this project out for bids and received only one bid. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, Tracy. Yeah, we put it out. It was advertised in the paper and on our website and on the Michigan bidding website. It was out there. We did have, I had a couple of phone calls, a couple of emails. So there were other companies that were interested in the project, but yeah, only had one company submit.
But you did do a formal process. I want to make that very clear on the record. And also, since you had just one, how does this one bid look to you? Does it look to be pretty reasonable based on your experience?
Yeah, we actually have a similar product, actually the same exact floating fishing platform at Hubshire Park that we purchased and installed about 5 years ago. So at that point, we bid that out also. And the price for today's dock is maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more than that one was, but considering that this is 5 years later, I think prices going up that little bit, it seems reasonable. So yes, I do feel comfortable in this number. It was right in the middle of the range when we bid it out that first time. So it does seem like a reasonable amount.
Thank you, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in the budget?
Yeah, it is. We typically have around $100,000 that we spend annually on capital improvement projects. So this is one of the first ones. We do have a few more that we're going to line up over the summer and into next fall. So, but yes, we do have the funds to cover this purchase.
And your department is funded by millage funds, isn't that right, Pete?
That's correct. Yes.
All righty. Any other questions? Then I think we're looking for a motion on this.
I'd move it.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Lumberman. Any further discussion?
Tom Dewey's an old Ithaca boy too. He owns that company up
Can't
there.
hear you.
Tom Dewey's an old Ithaca boy. He owns that company up in Harrison.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
All righty, if the clerk would please call the roll then.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
yes,
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Pete.
Next,
Thanks.
we have to set a public hearing for April 6th. On,
Commissioner Murphy, this is just, the statute requires that this board publicly set a public hearing for this hearing on development of a brownfield area. So this is an entirely administrative matter, just setting the public hearing. You are not required to do any examination of the issue or discussion of it. This is setting a public hearing only.
okay, very good. And that'll be the next meeting, it sounds like. Okay, then I guess we're looking for a motion to set the hearing.
Right.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lemmerman. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second it.
Second by Commissioner Bunning. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Bailey,
yes,
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. All righty. Next, we have Gratiot County I don't know. Representative, is this the Kingsley and Associate here?
yes,
Yes. Selah?
Is this a remonumentation issue?
yes,
Diane Thomas is the remonumentation administrator and guru. She cringes when I say those things. Yes, I see that. Remonumentation, of course, is the setting or resetting of the boundaries established by the initial Michigan survey. Diane is here, of course, to correct everything that I say. There is a peer group that oversees or advises on this group, and this is an individual who is being suggested as a replacement for another member who's been required to vacate that spot. This individual is a survey, which makes a fair amount of sense for this kind of work. And so, Diane, is there anything that you would add or correct to what I have said?
Also, I would say is Bill Tingley is the guy that does the county surveying, and he has this peer group of three guys, and this is one of them men that needs to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Men in this particular case.
I said that wrong. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're going to replace one of them that's became ill with one of the gals from Alma that's a certified surveyor.
Thank you. George is just glad I'm poking somebody else about that. Okay, thank you. I think that's all we would have to present, Commissioner Murphy.
All righty. So we're looking for a motion to approve Christine.
So moved.
support,
Moved by Commissioner Smith, support by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? Then the clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
yes,
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you, Diane, for taking the
Motion
time to be
passed.
here tonight. We appreciate
Thank
it very
you.
much. Mhm.
Thank you. All righty, next we have some other appointments, and I have several issues with this. For one, we have some of these people on a county employment application. I'm just wondering why we're using this. I've seen this a couple other times. To me, it's cleaner if we just use the usual form application for boards and commissions. I'm just wondering why we're putting basically a volunteer through a 10-page form and we're not actually employing them.
This is not our requirement, Commissioner Murphy. Maybe Angie can provide additional information, but this is not our requirement. I can't explain it either.
So I think the only one that has submitted like a resume was that Kathy Wilton. Everybody else was on the regular form, I believe.
Okay, well, I don't understand why we're using this other form.
So who are you referring
I'm
to?
just looking on the one form, we have Kathy Wilton. And it's a regular employment form for Gratiot County, it appears.
That's
And I
what
don't
she
know why
said.
we're asking for all this
Yeah.
detail for just an appointment to a board.
Again,
So
we're not.
I did not ask her to submit that. She had submitted that with her application back in December when she,
Okay.
so she is the only one that has included that.
And again,
Well,
by her own interpretation of some requirement, Commissioner Murphy, we do not require nor invite or suggest that people fill out the regular
Okay, well,
employment application.
I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think it would be more uniform if somebody does submit it this way, that we ask them to also submit the normal form. You know,
And that is
so
in
it's
there.
consistent.
Chuck, that is in there as well for Kathy.
Okay.
Angie, would she have
Yes.
got this form off online or something?
The commissioner or the boards and committees
No,
application?
the application for employment, really.
Yeah, that's out there online as well, under
see.
employment.
I see, okay.
Okay, so we have appointment to boards online also. Do we have the usual form online for that? Maybe that would solve it.
Yes, that is out there online as well, under the commissioners page.
Okay,
And the employment application is under the HR page. It's not under, yeah, and the other form is there.
So in the future, I can just make sure that I just put in the boards and commission application.
I
Because,
would think that would be easier, save us 10 pages and,
Yep.
and you know, then they wouldn't have to go to all this trouble either.
absolutely.
All right, here we have, first up is Gratiot Integrated Health, says 4 positions. I believe we need to, the current term ends at the end of this month. And the way I read things here, we have 3 board members that are asking to be reappointed, and there's a 4th opening.
Yes, so Michael Miller had to resign because he moved out of our area. So Angela Campbell did apply for his position. But Irene O'Boyle, Luann Billings, and TJ Siren, I think that's his last name.
Yeah, those are current
Currently on
members.
the board.
They're currently and we're reappointing. And we
Correct.
only have 1 application for the 4th position. Is that
Correct.
correct? And
Yes.
that name is what?
Is Angela Campbell.
All righty. I guess we're probably looking at a motion here.
I'd make a motion that we would appoint O'Boyle, Billings, Serena Campbell to the board, integrated health system.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
Support.
Support by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, where do you find, when I was looking at this, first one that comes to mind, which is on 47, Planning Commission of Parks and Rec, which would be there.
I think these are also a bit out of order. Because on the agenda, we're moving forward with this Gratiot Integrated Health, correct?
That's why, that's the motion, yes.
That's a motion, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's because I was kind of going in order.
All righty, any further discussion? Clerk will please call the roll on the motion and repeat the
Commissioner
motion.
Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. Next on the agenda here is Gratiot Library Board, one position, 5-year term. And do we only have one on this also?
That's correct. So I put that Kathy Wilton in because she would like to be on any of the positions. So I slipped her in here too, because Craig Zeiss currently has that position, but he would like to retire so that he can go travel. So
Oh, that's nice.
he did not
Okay, and-
reapply. So we don't have any applicants other than Kathy for this position.
Okay, and once again, this Kathy Wilton is on this 10-page
Yes,
employment.
correct. She was very thorough.
Give her a
So it
shot.
looks like we're looking for a motion to approve her to the library board.
I'll make a motion that we put her on the library board, the Kathy Wilton.
Wilton. Motion by Commissioner Bunting to appoint Kathy Wilton to the library board. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes, motion passed. Next on the agenda is, it says AAA Board of Directors, one position,
Yep,
but that's really the,
it's the
It's
Region
Commission
7
is
area.
that the
on-
Region 7? That's another thing that was unclear in this. Our agenda items don't match up with the paperwork either on this.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Area Agency 7, which is done through the Commission on Aging.
Okay, I see the AAA here now, but
And Nestle is our representative now. She needs to
Currently.
be, she needs to be reappointed.
reappointed.
She's our person that reports from the Commission on Aging from Area Agency.
Okay, and she's the only application here.
Yes, yes.
All right, then it looks like we're looking for a motion here too.
I would make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. Now I'm just going to jot this down. And then the final item here is the same
Same,
organization, only the advisory board position.
Right. Exactly.
And is this, again, we only have one?
Diane, yep.
Yeah, they are a current representative and the only one that applied.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering about, which position is the one that's totally unable to be read at all? There's one here that's in cursive and it's upside down and I can't make heads or
No,
hair.
that was the resignation from Michael Miller.
That was a resignation. Okay. I couldn't even read it. And then it's upside down in the packet.
Well, what you have to do is you have to stop the rotation on your device and then turn it around. And then I couldn't read it.
Thank you, George. I know I couldn't read it anyway. That makes sense. At least I know what that is now. All righty. Did we get a motion on that one?
No,
No, I will make.
All right, looking for a
I will
motion
make
then.
that motion. I will make that motion, Bailey.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
A second.
Or a second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. All righty. Any unfinished business? All righty, then I guess I'm asking for a movement into the finance meeting. A motion?
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved, Bailey.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bailey, second by Commissioner Bunting to move into the finance meeting. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed, and here's the gavel.
Thank you. Do we need to take a recess?
I'm good here.
I'm good.
Okay, we're all set. Okay, I do want to mention that Mr. Letterman and I both came last Friday and had a meeting with Chris, and thank you again. He was very knowledgeable and brought us up to on some other things, and we appreciate that. So I need to call to order, don't I? Do I need to call? I don't, do I?
I think you started it.
Okay. So we'll start off with the finance administration report, cash balance, check registered, and new and expenditures. Is this, do we need Terry to do some of this? Can you hear me? Uh-oh, we lost you.
There it is.
Okay.
Dan, are you ready for me to take over? I'm having some hard times hearing you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're having a hard time there a little bit too hearing you. Okay, yes.
Okay, did my cash balance worksheet come up on the screen?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so you see, first I want to thank you guys for coming in and meeting with me over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've had a chance to sit down with just about all of the commissioners, and I think it's been extremely productive in fielding your questions and trying to understand what type of information you would like brought before the board for these finance meetings. I mean, they're not new meetings, but they're not old, and the feedback is extremely valuable. What you're going to see tonight is I've changed some of the presentations. I've removed some of the presentations, and I've added a completely new presentation for you. The 3 reports I'll be showing you tonight, until I get different feedback, I will continue to bring these 3. And with the regular meetings that we're now going to have, in open communication, I expect to be able to tweak these to make them work the best way possible. And we'll get back here with February 2021. The cash balances for the funds are here. You'll see our overall cash balance, 10.6 million versus 9.6 million. When we look at our general fund from last year, it was at 4.3 or at 4.2. You know, considering the amount of money that we're putting into paying down some of our debts and liabilities, such as the drain loans, or, you know, paying off the drain balances before they are converted to loans, being $100,000 behind last year's cash balances in our general fund is a very healthy place to be. Anybody have any questions related to the cash balances?
Chris, looking back at the years, it looks like every February we go down 300,000, except for 2018. 2018, we had a big jump January to February. Just, is there a comment on what was different then?
You know, I wish I could tell you. I was not employed here, or I was not employed here at that time. But
Chris, is this sometimes just a matter of timing, you know, of collections versus payouts or expenditures?
Payouts, expenditures, transfers. Yeah, there's a lot of items that can happen almost any time throughout the year. Like I could pick to transfer a money from one fund to another in different months, and it would not affect our operations. So something like that could have happened. But yes, those are the trends that you do want to look for and the questions that you do want to ask. So when we look at October 17 at 4.8 million, dropping to 3.7, going from 6.3 to 4.3. So just the simple fact of keeping up on our transfers in our current fiscal year and funding other funds on a timely basis could explain why we would be incrementally down every month versus, you know, for a long time here in 2017, they were flat.
I was just curious if there was an unusual circumstance.
I would have to dig into 2018's financials. Like I said, I was not available. I was not here at that time.
Right.
Or maybe the treasurer, Chris?
Well, looking at the numbers at the end of the year, it looks like we had just a real good year of cash coming in, maybe, because you ended the year with 11,000. Or 11 million.
Okay, do we have any questions, any more questions on? Okay, can you want to continue on, Chris?
Absolutely. Here's our complete check register for, this should say February. I see I did not update that. I apologize. But you can see the automatic populated from the report, February's check register, and then the check dates. One of the tweaks that was requested within this was to pull up all the voided checks and just provide a quick explanation for yourselves and for the public for why we had to void that check. So you'll see those at the top of this report from now on.
Yes,
Give you
thank you,
guys a
Chris.
moment.
That was I think that was a good change. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll give you a moment to look through it and have any questions, let me know.
Hey, Chris, when we make the bond payment, we make that, what, 3 or 4 times a year?
Well, we make 2 bond payments a year per bond. So you'll see a lot more than 2 payments per year. You'll see, for a bond, there's an annual principal payment, and then there's 2 interest payments. So you'll
Okay.
see a smaller one that'll be just an interest payment, and then 6 months later, you'll see an interest and principal payment.
And do you usually put that up at the top here, or where do you usually put it?
The bond payments,
Yes,
I order them from the largest amount written to the smallest, so wherever they fall. This Hunting National Bank here happens to be a bond payment, so.
oh, that's what I wondered. Okay, that's what I wondered. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that interest or principal?
That would be both.
Okay.
Yes, that would include the principal payment in it.
Okay, is there any questions on this part of it?
Chris, one of those checks was to the Clinton County Treasurer.
Correct.
What was that for?
We share an indigent defense
Oh.
administrator with Clinton County. She travels back and forth and operates or runs both of our programs.
Okay.
She is on Clinton County's payroll. So every month we send them a check reimbursing our portion of her payroll.
And then, is there any other questions? We can continue on. I want to give a lot of credit to Mr. Murphy, Commissioner Murphy, and to Chris for this next portion, which I think is going to be very helpful for any questions or anything that you want to know where we stand in different funds. And so again, Chris, you did a good job on this, and you too, Mr. Murphy.
Now, one of the items that I did away with was the report that just included the checks that were cut that were over $10,000. The reason I did that is because we came up with this new report here, which will take up a little bit of time. So what I did is I dropped a report that had duplicate information on it and added this report, which I think will educate and keep you informed of the financials on a monthly basis. Commissioner Murphy came to me and wanted to know where these deposits were being made in the county on each month. While I do not have access to those, I do have access to where the revenues are. So what I did is in this budget, this also mirrors the budget report. So reading this expenditure and revenue report and looking at this every month will also get you more prepared for the budget document. What we're looking at is every fund that we have at Gratiot County. The general fund, we maintain road commission fund. We've got central dispatch, the sheriff millage. We maintain all of these funds, and each one has a special purpose and a budget that you set. What we're looking at in this first column is the budget that was adopted at the beginning of the fiscal year, which is October 1st. What I'm showing you here is the year-to-date balances for both the revenues and the expenditures. for each fund. So we have a $13 million revenue budget in the general fund, and we've collected 1.8. We have a $13 million expenditure budget, and we spent 4.3. I'm showing you how much was spent and how much was received in February, just the single month, how much we have remaining in our budget, and what percent of our budget is used. Now, I don't think everybody is going to 100% understand everything in this report, especially at first. But this gives you the opportunity to keep looking at it on a repetitive basis. And even if just each time you look at it, you ask me a couple questions, that's that much more that you'll be able to stash away in the memory banks. So I'm going to let you guys take a look at this. And if you have any questions, let me know.
I do have a question for you, Chris. When this says year to date, is that year of this year, or does that start back at our fiscal year back in October?
That's going to be fiscal year, because our budget is by fiscal year. So we need to be able to compare what we've spent during the fiscal year to our budget.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Chris, do you have the ME on here? I'm looking through here. Am I missing it?
The ME is a part of the general fund. It's a department within the
Okay.
general fund.
Okay.
I'll be reporting general fund departments next month when you get your 6-month budget to actual review.
Yep, that's
So
fine.
we'll go through each department then.
I'm very happy with this and how you put it together. Is there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I had a question, but I've lost it. Chris, the funding for blight, I seen that in here.
Yes. Fund 251.
251, okay. There it is. I see we've taken in $5,000. I thought that was about a $4,000 or $5,000 pop to every township. Have they not all paid?
I think they have not all paid their full amounts, and also we have only 4 townships participating. We also, because the township fiscal years start here in the spring, we provided them the option to pay the first half during the last fiscal year and the second half during during their new fiscal year, because we're running this program on the calendar year.
Okay.
Yep.
Chris, I gotta apologize for my bad memory. When we talked with you on Friday, you mentioned something specific about the 300 and 400 series in the funds. What was different about those funds?
Those funds are, the state of Michigan issues guidance on what funds can do what types of operations. And 300s and 400s, they are for managing debt. So on your screen, you'll see drain debt funds, a bunch of them in the 300s. When a bond is issued, we have to create a fund. We deposit that money in a fund such as 354, and then that is spent on drain number 181 in this example. And then the activity that we see after the initial bond issuance is the payments of the bond payments. So Commissioner Bunting, when you were talking about that payment to Huntington Bank, that was $61,000 or $64,000. Okay. Huntington Bank is actually our pension fund liability bond payment. I came down here, February 2021 activity, and I found that $64,000. So that's what that bond payment was for. The pension fund liability bond.
Second item on page 13.
On page 13. Okay.
Fund 368.
Yep.
Okay, I see it. Now, there's, we also borrow money from that Cherry Lawn. Is that what it's called? Cherry? I saw it back here. Would that be on here too? Because it's a drain? We borrowed it for drains?
Did you say Cherry Lawn?
Yes.
That's a service that stores data. That's like a monthly contract.
So that'd be under the general fund. Then.
Oh, here.
So that'd be out of the general fund, right, Chris?
It all depends on what department
Okay.
is using it. I think some really old HR files are on Cherry Lawn. I think the clerk uses it for something.
Oh, okay.
So it all depends on who uses it is where it would be charged to.
Chris, what is the place that we borrow from a lady out of Lansing for drains?
She just buys the bond. She buys whatever it is and funds it.
You're asking for her specific name?
No, I'm asking if we borrow from her or she pays for it or whatever, does that go underneath with the drains over here? Over with the,
That money will go into Fund 801. When the drain commissioner takes out loans, that money is tracked in Fund 801. If it is an actual bond issuance, that's when it gets its own fund. That's what the law requires. It gets a bond issuance gets its own fund. But just for a loan, those are tracked in Fund 801.
Farther down on that page, fourth from the bottom.
okay, I see it. Also, this is a question for Tracy. A 702 Wind Farm Planning Fund. Is that for the attorney or what is that for?
That is one of the developers is paying for all of the engineering for one of the wind farms. And part of the deal to get them to pay for the engineering costs is that we would actually, we work, well, at Greater Gratiot does most of this work with setting up the engineers where they need to place the different wind turbines. And then we get billed by the engineers. We pay it here in financial services, but it's money that was given to us by the wind farm operator.
We're
So we put
reimbursed
that money-
essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're holding it for them and paying their bills. And in return, it's their money and we don't have to pay for it.
Is there any other questions?
Chris, I think this breaks it out pretty well. I think it gives us a good shot at the outside funds versus the ones in the general fund. And we see those every 6 months or so. So yeah, I think this is a good form here.
I think if we get about 5 or 6 or 8 questions each meeting, by the time budget process rolls along, it's gonna be a lot easier to understand too. So
Yeah.
I also appreciate that this is now out there.
Is there any other questions? Okay, let's move on to this would be the check register.
No, I think this is the receipts.
Oh, the receipts, I'm sorry, yes, receipts. And this would be money taken in.
For February,
For
correct?
February.
Yeah.
I was amazed how much they took in and how much work they do. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Jan.
Yes, I was amazed. at how
Yeah,
much work-
we have a busy month in February. Everybody's trying to get their taxes paid before February 28th. That total is, of course, department deposits, taxes, dog licenses, different things. Of that total, though, $230,652 was in delinquent tax money. So it's busy. We've still got 94 parcels that are delinquent in the county, but they've got until the end of the month to pay those.
Do you see that you're going to have an auction with homes or farmland or anything this
Yeah,
year?
I believe that we will. We'll set that date very soon, but we don't have it set yet. So, because like I said, they've got till the end of March to make these right.
Okay.
Terry, this is Sam. When you say to make these right, are you in like their last, are you only looking at the delinquent funds that are like the last hurrah, because can't they kind of pay like a year and then get off the list or something? Or is this the total of all of them?
These are for the 2018 taxes.
Okay.
That they are up for foreclosure.
So they'll go up foreclosure at the end of whatever their time period is. This month, you said?
March 31st. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So then when you look at that number, that's what that number is for the 18 taxes.
The 94?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the 2019s are in forfeiture, but they're not in foreclosure. That's
Right.
the way it rolls along.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Yep.
That 94, I mean, really, if you look at all the taxes that are back, it's probably 3 times that number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just for the 2018.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And Terry, do you still take in a lot of dog licenses? I know that in the past that we were doing a lot of dog licenses.
That kind of slows down after February 28th. They try to get them done before that, because after that, if they are new licenses, they're still the same price. But if they're renewals that are late, then they double in cost. So everybody tries to get them done before February 28th. So.
Okay.
So Terry, are most of the dog licenses paid in your office? Or some of them going out to the?
It depends. Some of them go out there and some of them come up here. There's no real.
Yeah, the split is about, I think the majority go out to animal control, but then of course they bring the proceeds into the treasurer for deposit. But the treasurer's office is the second location, but it's about, you get about 5,000 a year, I think. And I actually was speaking with Tom Clark about this morning. He's estimating that animal shelter maybe processes about 4,000 of them and about 1,000 in the treasurer's office. Does that sound about right, Terry?
Yeah, it sounds about right. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. It just, if people are up here doing something, they might stop in and pay them. If not, they might pay them out there next year. So you never really know.
Right. Well, we'll take it however we get it.
Casey, can they pay those online, the licenses?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they can. Unless they need to renew their rabies, if their rabies are still good, then they can do it online. If not, then they have to prove to us that their rabies are good.
Okay.
And one other thing, Terry, we usually get an investment report. I've noticed we haven't the last 2 months. Any reason for that?
The investments, they haven't changed. They report to me quarterly. The last one you got was in December. And per the county policy, that's really an annual reporting. There's no reason that I can't quarterly, but nothing has changed since December, so.
Okay, it seemed to me like we were getting a monthly report on that one. Usually
Yeah.
where the investments were and what rates we are paying.
Mhm.
I would think that'd be good to continue that. I
Okay,
don't know how anybody else feels.
I kind
Okay.
of would like to, if we could have it stuck in here, just kind of refresh the memory. You probably see it on a day-to-day basis where we don't, we see it once a month.
okay.
And thank you.
Well, really, our investments don't change much, Terry. I mean, month to month, you're locking in a CD for X amount of time, and you're locking in the treasury or wherever you're putting it. So it's there. It's, if you look at it this month, it's probably going to be the same next month unless you make a new investment.
Yep, it is. So, but that's fine if you want to see it.
I would really recommend the treasurer, if she decides to change and go to a different bank, that she would let us know that. Otherwise, I've looked at it over a year and it very seldom even changes at all. The interest rates are so low that, yeah, whatever. If the board wants to see it, that's fine too.
Do we ever invest in any kind of stocks or anything like that with our money?
You can't do that.
Yeah. And I guess I've been kind of, well, usually I watch the stock market a little closer than I have been. But I'm not even sure if the stocks are up or the bond or the interest rates are up or down or what's happening with that. Used to keep quite close tabs on it, but busy these days.
Okay.
How do you like your job, Terry?
I do, Jan, I do. Thank you.
Okay. And I hear you have 2 new people?
Yes, I have 2 new part-time people and they're doing, they're coming along great. They're doing
Oh,
awesome.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And if you have questions now, what do you do? Like if there's something you don't know how to do you call another county or what?
Yeah, or I'm on a couple of listservs that questions go out through an email, and there's a lot of other treasurers on that. I get answers that way, or networking with other treasurers on the phone. You know, that's my main way, is contacting other treasurers because they have a lot of experience and they can just, oh yeah, we do this. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're doing well.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay. Chris, are you still there?
I'm sorry, were you addressing me?
Oh, I was wondering if Chris was still with us.
I beg your pardon.
Okay, well, the last page here is a history for transfers. Is there any questions on that? Okay. And if there's no other questions, okay, is there any questions now about the treasurer's reports,
Financial reports.
financial reports? Yes.
I don't have any.
I don't either.
Now, it's my understanding maybe in April, we'll all start meeting again in the commissioner's room. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Tracy?
Yes, your question is whether you can or must meet in the commissioner's room next month?
No, it was my understanding that all of the departments or everything was going to be, kind of like loosened up. That we.
It maybe, maybe not. The factors are this: We don't know if the order from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services will be continued. Right now, it extends into April. I cannot remember if it's the 13th or the 19th. Also, because you folks approved the continued or renewed declaration of public emergency, you have the option of continuing to meet virtually. I'll simply weigh in that in making that determination, I think Marcus's report can perhaps guide you in that.
Okay. Okay, well, is there anything else that we'd like to discuss?
I move we go back into our regular meeting.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned, or can we have a roll call to go back out of the meeting? Angie? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I need a second.
I support that, Bailey.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. That meeting is adjourned, and I believe we need a motion to approve the financial report
So moved.
And pay the bills?
and pay the bills. Well, we're actually just being reported that these were the bills that were paid. We're not making a motion to pay the bills.
Don't forget Mike's gonna talk.
Yes, I got that. Motion by Commissioner Lemmerman. I need a second.
Or
Support, was that you, Sam? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Any discussion? Clerk will please call the roll.
I don't think she can hear.
Commissioner Smith, I'm sorry, I had to change my motion. Commissioner Smith,
yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed, and I believe Sheriff Morris, you had something for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update as to what's going on over at the sheriff's office. For the month of February, we averaged 42 inmates in the jail, 36 being male, 6 being female. That was 42 on average. High in the jail for the month was 46 and low was 37. For complaints in January, calls for service, we had 536. In February, we had 555. You do the math, 28 days, that's almost 20 calls for service per day that we're handling at the sheriff's office. And the pace we are on right now, and if you think back to last year, the end of February, that was pre-COVID, we are 125 calls for service ahead this year than we were in the first 2 months of last year, which averages out to about 2 calls more per day. So the guys are busy out there, and I think it's only going to get busier as the summer months get here because of people being, for lack of better words, cooped up for the last year. So I think we're going to be quite busy, and I wouldn't be shocked if we are anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 complaints ahead of last year at the end of this year. Anybody have any questions on that?
Mike, what do you attribute that to? Anything, or just you say people cooped up?
Well, I don't know what I attributed to for this year. I tried checking into it, and we're really not doing much different types of complaints. It's just sheer volume. It could be from people being from last March clear to now being inside and not doing much. That's boosted our numbers up.
Mike, I have a question for you too. I'm hearing a lot that there's a lot of refugees that are going to be coming out throughout the whole United States. Do you see that we will have several coming to Gratiot or Michigan, or?
I haven't heard of any through the Michigan Sheriff's Association, Jan. So I don't know if we will. I would be shocked. Of course, you know, here in Gratiot County, we have a lot of farms and we do have a lot of workers that come from out of country that work at these farms, and that's nothing new. That's been going on for years.
Any other questions for the sheriff? All righty, thank you, Mike. I think we're through the agenda. Oh, any additional public comment? Anybody you see online, Matt?
I don't see anybody else online.
Okay, if anybody does have a comment, would they please unmute themselves? They're on a cell phone. I think it's *6. All righty. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if nobody has anything more.
Tracy, I've got one quick question, Tracy. I want to go back to when you were reporting on the legislation and you said that there was 7.9 million coming to Gratiot County. Is that?
No, yes, I'm sorry, yes. Mhm.
Okay, that 7.9 million that's coming from that stimulus bill. This is to shore up state money that was coming to us anyway, right? It's not 7.9 million over and above.
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure of the
Very good
answer to
question.
that. I don't know if Chris is still there and if he knows. But what I'm going to do, Commissioner Lemmerman, is I'm going to make a note of that question and I'm going to look into it and get back with you.
Okay, thank
Great
you.
question.
Great question. Yeah, that might be something we could quickly ask at our meeting on the 2nd.
Oh, I can, no, I'll get that much sooner than that, but thank you.
You know, hopefully it's not
Alrighty.
gonna be, like the lottery thing, you know, we'll give it to you out of this hand and take it out of that pocket. You know?
Right, yeah, that's why it's a
Yeah.
very good question.
Yeah.
So, all righty, I think we had a motion to adjourn without objection, then we're adjourned.